Welcome to our in-depth weekly course on A Course in Miracles, a profound spiritual text that has guided countless individuals toward a deeper understanding of themselves, their relationship with the divine, and the world around them. Each week, we'll explore a chapter from this transformative book, offering insights, practical applications, and reflective exercises to help you integrate its teachings into your daily life. This week, we continue with Chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego. This chapter delves into the nature of the ego, examining how its illusions create barriers to recognizing our true spiritual identity. It also offers guidance on how to move beyond these illusions to experience the peace and joy of living in alignment with our true selves. Week 4, The Illusions of the Ego. Overview. Understanding the ego's illusions in A Course in Miracles. Chapter 4 of A Course in Miracles explores the nature of the ego and the illusions it creates to maintain the belief in separation and fear. The ego is described as a false identity that we have constructed, which constantly seeks to reinforce its existence through illusions of conflict, scarcity, and guilt. This chapter challenges us to recognize these illusions for what they are and offers a path to transcending the ego's grip on our perception, allowing us to experience the true peace that comes from aligning with our divine nature. The ego as a false identity. In A Course in Miracles, the ego is portrayed as a false self, a construct of the mind that believes in separation from God and others. The ego thrives on fear, judgment, and comparison, constantly seeking external validation to maintain its sense of self. However, this identity is based on illusions and is not reflective of our true spiritual essence, which is love. Consider how you might feel when you compare yourself to others, whether in terms of success, appearance, or worth. These feelings of inadequacy or superiority are driven by the ego's need to differentiate itself and prove its value. Recognizing that these comparisons are based on the ego's illusions can help you detach from them and focus on the truth of your inherent worth as a spiritual being. The ego uses fear and guilt as its primary tools to keep us trapped in its illusions. By fostering a sense of guilt over past actions or fear of the future, the ego keeps us focused on anything but the present moment, where our true power lies. These emotions reinforce the ego's narrative of separation and unworthiness. Imagine feeling guilty about a mistake you made years ago, one that you can't seem to forgive yourself for. The ego uses this guilt to keep you stuck in the past, preventing you from experiencing the peace and love available to you in the present. By recognizing this pattern, you can choose to release the guilt and embrace the atonement, knowing that your true self is already forgiven and whole. Transcending the ego's illusions involves a process of unlearning the beliefs and thought patterns that have kept us in a state of fear and separation. ACIM teaches that this is done through the practice of forgiveness, recognizing the truth of our oneness with God and each other, and consistently choosing love over fear in our daily lives. In a situation where you feel the urge to defend yourself or attack someone else, recognize that this reaction is coming from the ego. Instead of responding from a place of fear or anger, choose to pause, take a deep breath, and respond with understanding and compassion. This shift in response is a step toward transcending the ego's illusions and moving closer to your true nature. Each day this week, practice observing your thoughts and behaviors to identify where the ego is influencing your perception. When you notice thoughts of fear, guilt, or judgment, Pause and remind yourself that these are the ego's illusions. Choose to see the situation through the eyes of love instead. At the end of each day, reflect on moments where you identified the ego's influence and made a conscious choice to transcend it. Write about these experiences in a journal, noting how this shift affected your emotional state and interactions with others. Spend a few minutes each day in meditation, focusing on the practice of forgiveness. Visualize yourself letting go of the ego's illusions and embracing the truth of your oneness with all beings. Imagine extending love and forgiveness to yourself and others, dissolving any barriers of fear or guilt. Important quotes from Chapter 4. The ego is the part of the mind that believes your existence is defined by separation. This quote highlights the fundamental belief of the ego in separation, which is the source of all fear and conflict. What is not love is always fear, and nothing else. This statement reminds us that any emotion or thought that is not rooted in love is a manifestation of fear, created by the ego. The ego's only goal is to maintain its own existence, and it does so by making you believe that you are the ego. This quote emphasizes the ego's need to perpetuate itself through the illusions of fear, guilt, and separation. As you engage with the fourth chapter of ACM, consider the following questions for personal reflection or group discussion. 1. How do you recognize the ego's influence in your thoughts and behaviors? 2. In what ways can you practice forgiveness to dissolve the ego's illusions? 3. How does understanding the nature of the ego change your perception of yourself and others? Weekly assignments and resources. Reading assignment. Read Chapter 4 of A Course in Miracles, focusing on the key principles and teachings about the ego, its illusions, and the path to transcending them. Journaling prompt. Write about a recent experience where you felt controlled by fear or guilt. Reflect on how recognizing these feelings as the ego's illusions could help you release them and choose peace instead. Supplementary resources. Consider reading The Ego Identity, The Road to Awareness by Ibrahim al-Baluchi, which complements the teachings of A Course in Miracles by further exploring the nature of the ego and how to transcend it. Additionally, listen to A Course in Miracles podcast episodes that discuss the ego and its illusions for further understanding. Closing thoughts. This fourth week of our course deepens our understanding of the ego and its illusions, offering practical guidance on how to transcend these barriers to experience the peace and joy of our true nature. As you continue to practice the teachings of A Course in Miracles, remember that each moment offers a choice between the ego's illusions and the truth of love. By consistently choosing love, you dismantle the ego's grip and step into a life of freedom and spiritual fulfillment. Next week, we will explore Chapter 5, Healing and Wholeness, where we will delve into the concepts of healing the mind and returning to a state of wholeness through the practice of forgiveness and the recognition of our divine identity. Stay connected. Join our Facebook group to share your experiences and insights with others on this journey. Subscribe to our newsletter for weekly updates, additional resources, and inspiration.